Our first inductee is going to be Richard Bradley, and I would like to roll the flash video on Richard.
Richard Bradley's volunteer service began at the grassroots level in his community and extended through different levels at the USTA with an emphasis on promoting and growing junior tennis. Richard believed that tennis could have a powerful impact in local communities and in the lives of children. At the USTA level, Richard volunteered for the USTA Midwest section for 13 years, serving as chairperson of the section's Junior Competition Committee and Multicultural Participation Committee. He served as a delegate at large on the Executive Committee and later served on the USTA Midwest Section Board of Directors for 4 years. At the local level, Richard was very active in the Chicago District Tennis Association, serving in the volunteer and leadership roles for approximately 20 years, which included time on the Chicago District Board of Directors. Richard's work in Chicago was historic, as he played pivotal roles with the Stony Island Tennis Club, the Love to Serve Tennis Academy, and the Chicago Prairie Tennis Club. He was elected president of the Chicago Prairie Tennis Club in the early 1980s, serving for several years. Richard was elected president of the American Tennis Association in 1994 and served for approximately 6 years. He also was president of the Midwestern Tennis Association, MidTAC, the Midwest section of the American Tennis Association, for approximately 8 years. In 2011, the Midwestern Tennis Association initiated the Richard Bradley Junior Excellence Scholarship in his honor. Richard's list of accolades include the following: USTA Midwest Section Stanley Meless Award in 2000, American Tennis Association President Award in 1999, Love to Serve Community Service Award in 2000, Chicago District Paul Dean Memorial Award as Volunteer of the Year in 1997, and the renaming of his alma mater, Rushville High School's 6-court tennis facility, as the Richard Bradley Tennis Center in 1995 in his hometown of Rushville, Indiana, for his tennis accomplishments. Through his involvement with the Greater Chicago Community Tennis Association, Richard became a mentor to former professional tennis player Katrina Adams during her junior career growing up in Chicago. Richard was instrumental in renaming the tennis facility at the Chicago Park District's Thule Park as the Joseph Buchalter Tennis Center in 1998.
Richard's love for tennis is evidenced by his life's work. His involvement in tennis was not for the game itself, but because of what the game could do in the lives of inner-city children. Richard was a role model, a mentor, and a friend to many of us throughout Chicago and throughout the section. His wife Melba fully supported his vision and his goals to develop children and to give them the gift of tennis. Their gift helped to support our very own Katrina Adams, currently the incoming president of the USTA. I am forever grateful to Richard for his dedication, his passion, and his leadership.
The USTA Midwest section congratulates Richard's wife Melba and his sons Tony and Greg on Richard's induction into the 2014 Hall of Fame.
To introduce to you the individual who will be Richard's presenter this evening is a Hall of Famer preceding Richard in the class of 2005. She's also the first professional tennis player to lead the USTA and also the first African American to lead the USTA. And with that, I'd like to introduce Katrina Adams.
Good evening, everyone. I'm so honored to be here this evening on this monumental moment in being able to induct Richard Bradley into the Hall of Fame to join myself. First, I want to congratulate all the other recipients this evening. Congratulations. Thank you for all that you do for growing tennis and the passion that you have for the sport, and also to Mary Jo, my peer and colleague, for being inducted as well and joining me. As you heard on the video, Richard was a very special individual to most of us in the room, and particularly myself. as a young lady growing up in Chicago, and Richard was the then president of the Chicago Prairie Tennis Club, the oldest black tennis club in America. He was very instrumental in providing opportunities for myself and my family. My parents are here tonight, my brother and godmother as well, for providing funds, for raising money for myself to go to not only just the local tournaments out in the suburbs, but to sectional and national tournaments. And because of his leadership and his guidance and his vision, he's provided several opportunities for other youth in the Chicago district area, particularly those kids of color. As I got older, as a kid, you don't realize how significant those opportunities are, and you don't really know what's going on because you're a kid. Your parents are the ones that are handling those situations. You get recognized, you get honored, you get awards, etc. And I was just out there playing tennis and doing what I love to do and about the sport that I'm so passionate about. But as I got older, I really realized how much hard work went into it and what Richard really was doing for me as an advocate in supporting myself and other youth in the Chicagoland. And then as I got much older, then I really understood the impact as to what his vision was and what his passion was for the sport. It was Mr. Bradley back in the day, and then I think when I finally reached 30, I called him Richard. I got permission to call him Richard, and I got permission to call Mrs. Bradley Melba. And growing up around their family and going over for Thanksgiving dinners at times and playing tennis against Greg and Tony. What was that, Greg? It's really humbling for me to not have him here today, but to be able to honor him posthumously. I think 5 years ago today, Stony Island Tennis Club gave Richard a surprise party, one of his last parties that he attended. And it's very hard, those of you that know him, it's very hard to get things over his head or around him, but they were able to surprise him, and it was probably one of the most joyous moments that he and his family had that evening, 5 years ago on this date, December 5th. And just a couple years or a year later, I think I was part of his last Thanksgiving dinner. And so it gives me great pleasure to be able to welcome Richard Bradley posthumously into the Hall of Fame alongside myself. And I'd like to introduce Melba, his wife, widow, and his sons, Tony and Greg, to please come up and accept this award.
I would like to thank Katrina. I'd like to thank the nominating committee who suggested that Rich be inducted into the Hall of Fame. I had a speech written, but one day I went to bed, I was 20 years old, and when I woke up, I was 70. So I forgot my speech. But Rich wanted everyone interested in tennis. I mean, he wanted everybody to feel like he did about tennis. He even had a group of ladies. I remember in 1984, he had a group of ladies. First, Rich would go to meetings, and he would come home, and he would say, oh, now I didn't go to the meeting. I put you on the committee for decorating. I put you on the committee for feeding. I would look behind his back, I would roll my eyes at him. I wasn't even at the meeting, so I don't know why he would be putting my name down. So he wanted everybody involved. And in 1984, he was the president of the National Tennis Foundation. And he had this group of ladies. In fact, one of them's in here, two of them in here now. This group of ladies, he wanted them to just come and sit and watch the matches, just come. So they would come and set up a table like they were in their dining room. They had gold goblets, and their job was just to come and sit at the courts and, you know, just hang out and watch the matches. But we later found out the women drank champagne and wine, and so he was buying them champagne and wine all the time. And he would say, "Bull," that's what we call Katrina's daddy, "Bull, what are they drinking now?" "Man, I don't know. They change every 3 months." So he just loved everybody, wanted everybody to love tennis like he did. And so tonight, Rich is looking down at us and he's smiling because he's gathered us here together. And so I would like for all of my friends and relatives to please stand. Whether you know it or not, in some way or another, you have been a part of Rich being inducted into the USTA Hall of Fame. So Rich, you now have been inducted into the Midwest USTA Tennis Hall of Fame. Thank you.
Madam President, it is my pleasure to present on behalf of the Hall of Fame Committee the late Richard Bradley for enshrinement into our Hall of Fame.
Melba Bradley, as president of the USTA Midwest section, and with the power vested unto me, I hereby induct Richard into the Midwest Tennis Hall of Fame. An identical plaque will be located in the Hall of Fame in Indianapolis, Indiana. Also, I extend my congratulations to your family on this posthumous honor for Richard tonight.
Thank you.